Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Passion to Profession podcast. Very excited that you're here watching or listening. I'm very excited because today I am interviewing the wonderful Carla White from South Dakota, who has an amazing app called the Gratitude app. And I was super excited to get on this because the Gratitude app is the place where everyone learns about Carla and her story and what she can offer, and she brings in tons of people through that, and then she ascends them to more expensive, higher priced items. And I just think that's such an awesome model. Of course, Passion, allowing people to launch apps. I was very excited to see someone doing this so well. So Carla, thank you so much for being here. Did I get the intro right? Is there anything I should be adding there?
No, you nailed it. That was right on. So, but I didn't create the app with the idea that it was going to be a lead magnet. So, fun fact, I'm the first woman to launch an iPhone app. That's how long it's been out there.
Yeah. Wow. What? So what's the background? How did it all start?
Yeah. So I was living in London many years. So I was like about on year 10, I was living in launching my first business wasn't going very well. As you know, like when you launch your first business, it's a huge learning curve from a day job. But I was handling the stress in all the ways that were socially acceptable, like go down to the pub, have some pints and, watch some telly and eat some yummy Cadbury's chocolate. And, so I was basically just slowly destroying my health, and I was having like migraines and stuff. And I was actually going into a little bit of a depression. And when I didn't know, like, I just thought, okay, something's got to give. That's when I got that middle of the night phone call from my brother saying that my dad had suddenly passed away. And I was just like out of control after that. My husband said, let's move you back to the States, South Dakota, so you could be closer to your family. And that made it worse because like culture shock, all that other stuff. Long story short, I ended up in the hospital. And that's when I thought I've got to do something to take care of my mental health. Discovered gratitude. It changed my life so profoundly, like so profoundly. I'm like, why isn't everybody doing this? And that's when I said, well, I'm going to create an app because Steve Jobs just held up the iPhone about that. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make an app, which was crazy. I had no idea how to do it, but I was going to do it. And figured it out and launched it. Like it's been on the market a long time. So,
wow, that is so cool. And how did you go about it back then? There wasn't platforms out there to do that easily, right? Like, how on earth did you start?
Oh my gosh. Well, for one thing, the SDK, the software development kit, was so much simpler. So compared to now, right? But yeah, there was no Facebook. There was no like any way to connect. There was blogs and Twitter, and the people who were making apps just were helping each other out because there was like Apple didn't even have any documentation. So it was really just fumbling in the dark trying to figure it out. But my app went viral because I put out my story with the app. I shared like how gratitude helped me, and the like USA Today, Telegraph, all like BBC, all sorts of news outlets were picking up on it, and it went viral. And I was getting interviewed by all these people. I was behind the desk in cubicle land forever. I did not know how to interview on a radio show or anything like that. So it was exciting. I ended up writing a book sharing how I did it called Idea to iPhone, which was published by Wiley. I created an agency where I made apps for other people, which drove me into a second nervous breakdown. And I no longer have that agency. But the other thing is when while I had this gratitude app, I was collecting hundreds of thousands of email addresses from people who were using it and doing nothing with it. And yet I heard online that you should be making $1 an email and all this stuff. And I was like, well, how do you do that? And long story short, I had closed down my app agency. I was a new mom to our second child and kind of running out of cash and didn't know really how to generate new revenues. And a friend of mine invited me to Funnel Hacking Live. And I was like, well, I can't even pay for the room. And she let me sleep in her room. And so I went to this event and not knowing what it was like. I don't want to go to another tech event. This is going to be boring. And got there and said, well, all right, I'm going to be positive about this. Whoever I see is going to just profoundly change my life. And that's when I learned all about funnels and lead magnets and value ladders and all this other stuff, and I was just blown away because before, when people would get my app, I would be like, okay, thank you for getting the app, thank you very much, now go away. Like, I don't want to hear from you again. And now it's like I share my backstory, I over deliver. I'm like, hey, you need this other product, let me help you out here, come into this community, let me support you, let's create a movement out of this. And usually, like, when people get my first email after downloading my app, they're so taken back. They all write back saying, I've never had anybody welcome me like this. I've never had anybody like, this is the best welcome email I've ever had. And it's people like A-list celebrities are writing to me saying this stuff. And I was like, oh, so you're using my app. And that's the other cool thing about having this gratitude app is the people I've met through it, like A-list celebrities, but also like, one of my dear close friends is a woman named Roz Savage. Roz Savage. She is the first woman, I think the only woman, to row 3 oceans solo. So just her in a rowboat for like months on end, rowing. And she used my app while she was going across the Pacific Ocean. And many years later, I flew to London and stayed in a castle with her to celebrate her 50th birthday. I mean, these are people that come on, I live in South Dakota. There's no way our paths would have crossed otherwise, other than having this app.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Can we get into, I want to get a bit nerdy with you for a second.
You
Can we
bet.
get into, like, what is your process from when someone, first of all, how do they even find out about the app? And then when they come into that world, what's the journey you take them on?
Yeah. So my app, I have different strategies to make sure that it's usually in the top of the charts, which was good enough, like really, really strong and powerful when the App Store was designed differently. Usually just saw the top chart apps. Now they redesigned it. So there's a few different other tactics that I use, but mostly what it is having a price on my app and then setting it free for certain periods of time. And that will bolster it up into the top of the charts or help it go viral again, because there's different agencies and websites that just monitor when an app goes free, and it'll spread it around to the interwebs. Hey, this app is free right now, go grab it. So during those times when it's free, I'll get maybe 1,000 some emails a day. And so but that doesn't happen when it's pay per download. But the reason I don't do that continuously is for a few. I don't want 1,000 emails a day. It's very expensive to handle. And also, it wouldn't always be 1,000 emails a day. So I have friends who have apps that they've created where they are free apps, and Apple has featured them. And when I tell them I get about 1,000 downloads a day when I set mine free, how many do you get? They're like, oh my gosh, we have never gotten 1,000 in a week, because they're always free. So always having a free model it doesn't always guarantee the most downloads. So if you do free, and I can, you got to like cut me off because I can really geek out when it comes to apps.
No, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
Okay. When you do free, you have to make sure that whatever the teaser is very addictive. And you have to look into what makes an addictive model. There's a lot of really good books, like Hook is a really good book to do your research on that and make sure that free period where you're giving it to them, they get hooked on that app.
Wow. So let's say, and when it's paid, how much is it for the app?
Oh, it's like $2-3.
Okay.
Not much. Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. And then once they come in when it's free, what happens? What's the first thing they see? What's the second thing they see?
Right. So, you mean in the app or just
In the
because
app first, and
in,
then outside, both.
yeah. So in the app, first thing they see is let's create your first journal entry. So this is an app designed for them to write down at least 5 moments each day that are good. And then scientifically, that'll rewire your brain. Um, so that's where I take them first. So let's write your first journal entry. They can skip that, of course, and play around with the app. And they don't need to create an account to play around with the app. It's only until they've created that first entry that they have to create their account, because I need to let them know at that point, hey, I need to save this somewhere. So I'm going to have to ask you for an email address at this point. I don't ask for that up front because they don't know why they're giving over their email address. I mean, people will tell you their weight, their birth date, their hometown before they will give over their email address. So you have to give them a reason to give them an email address. You can do that on the onboarding screens, but I go straight into the app and don't have the walkthrough or the onboarding screens on my app.
Okay, I love that. I
Mm,
absolutely love it, because your time to value it is very short. As soon as you download it,
yeah,
it's like, okay, journal entry, and then to save it, you need to. So in order to actually get the value that you've already invested that time, you have to
correct.
give something to get something. It's like, from a psychology perspective, I love it. What
Mhm.
happens next?
So they can set up a reminder. I really, okay. So what I do from this point is try to, I don't want to say attack, that sounds so bad, but try to come at them from different angle points, social media, email, in the app, to make the app a daily habit. So I tell them to put it on their home screen so they see it. And that way they will use it. Otherwise, if it's not on their home screen, they won't use it. Replace it. Replace one that you're addicted to with this one in that space on the home screen. And they get an email from me explaining my backstory. Like, I've been in your shoes. I know where you're at, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help you get to the other side. And they get that email, and I tell them, look, you're going to get 11 more emails from me, and then no more. I'm not going to keep email spamming you, but these 11 emails, I'm going to over deliver in each of these. So please read them. And and sometimes people will like get all but number 6, and they'll write to me, well, I need number 6. Where's number 6? Right? I need to know the story. So I really unfold my whole journey with them of what happened to me. And in the meantime, at the end of each email, I have a call to action as to whether join my Facebook group, download this PDF, get these, freebies, check out this video. Um, and that's really helps to nurture the relationship, because I want them to trust me. I want them to know that I'm not just some freak on the internet trying to get their money. I want to help them. And that's been a complete game changer. It took me probably about 2 months to write those emails too, to sit down and really pour it out and dig deep into the details that they would resonate with, to help stir up that emotion in them, that they know they're not alone. Um, because I know a lot of the people who are using this app, they're dealing with a lot of different addictions, whether it's alcohol or food or other things. So they're in a very sensitive place. So I have to be conscientious of that. Um, it's interesting because before I introduced the soap opera series, I would get probably once a week or twice a week emails from people that would vent their anger at me. People will call them haters or whatever. I just feel like they're just reflecting off what's going on internally, and it has nothing to do with me. It's just what's going on inside. And since I introduced my soap opera series, the support requests have like completely dropped 100%. Um, if there is some sort of support request, it's usually with so much gratitude and so much thanks and everything else. There's like the hate has completely dropped off.
Wow.
Mhm.
So this welcome email, You said that you have people saying that this is like the best welcome email I've ever received. I love that curiosity, by the way, Carla. Can you give us the highlights? What do you do in that email?
Okay, so right away, I welcome them, like, welcome to my world. I know you're busy. I'm going to keep this brief. And there's a photo of me from back in the day when I was living in London, and I looked completely different. I mean, shocking. And I explain who that person is, what she's been through, and where I'm at now, and what I was able to achieve through a daily gratitude practice. And this isn't some woo-woo stuff. This isn't any sort of just think and sit on your sofa and things will change. This is about you creating a life that you want. And I'm going to share with you exactly how you can do that. And then I tell them they have to open up the next email. But before I go, let me give you something in addition to the app. So,
and what is it that you give in addition?
I at that point, I think it's to welcome them into my community, or maybe it's a guide or something, some
Makes
prompts, or maybe it's a podcast. I'm not sure exactly, but
it's free value.
Exactly.
That makes sense. And then I love that you bring people to the point where they're using this as a daily habit. It's like part of their life. It's something that adds value, and that your entire goal after you get that email address is just get them to implement, because only when they actually take action can they see any results, right?
Yes.
What happens at the end of these 11 emails? Is there a big value ladder, or how does it work?
Yeah. So the last is a do-it-yourself course challenge is the next step. And there used to be a live challenge. I would invite them in, and so they sign up for the next one that was happening. Sometimes I do have in the footnotes that you can just work with me directly. I don't have that anymore, but it used to be they could work with me directly. And the results were amazing, because when you give somebody a piece of software that changes their life, they are grateful. Like, when you can create that result like that, the trust is amazing. It's well beyond like downloading a PDF or watching a video, or so. It's like, so you come so deep into their life that it's at a whole new level. So really the value ladder, I don't know. So my value ladder was like $2.99 app, right? Or free, into a $97 challenge, into a $15,000 inner circle, right? And sometimes they go from free app, $15,000 inner circle, right? It wouldn't even, because with the app, I've created so much value in their life, so much trust, that, and I'm very transparent to them as well. I don't have anything to hide. They need, like, I'm just like you. I'm going to share my vulnerabilities, and they appreciate that so much.
It's an awesome business model. Is it mainly the free downloads because if you have this big value ladder behind, I guess the paid downloads is not really a significant part of the business model, right?
No, because of the ebb and flow, right? It's not a subscription model. It's pay per download, and it's only on iOS, and that's strategic because of just the conception of paying for apps on Android is different than iOS. People with iPhones tend to spend more on their products than people with Android, because Google's just known for free. So that's strategic. I don't go on Google simply because of that. And sometimes like $2.99 up to 15,000, 18,000, depending on what they're looking for, it's been an easy transition for them. It doesn't take persuasion, which is the most wonderful thing. It's, like, they want to do it.
Some people might be listening or watching this and thinking, so I get the free app thing, I get the gratitude journal. How is Carla charging $15,000? What is that, right? Because
what is that offer?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So just like any other value ladder, like the lower price the item, the further removed you are from the actual content creator. And so when they go to that higher level, they're directly working with me. Um, this no longer exists. I don't offer this anymore, and I'll explain why in a bit. But before, it would be weekly calls. They'd have Voxer access. We'd have retreats. We were really like sisters, and some gentlemen too. But we were like a family. They all knew each other. We helped each other financially, spiritually, mentally, and so that was some really significant impact that we were making. Now, the reason I closed it down was because it was taking off wonderfully, but then COVID hit and my children were at home, and I was having these weekly calls with my inner circle, and it was like hosting a call in the middle of a frat party, because my 5-year-old would have his little Nerf gun filled with cream cheese and shooting it around the room, and other kids running in and out of the house. It was insane. And I just didn't think to me, it was very unprofessional. I know a lot of them were like, we don't care, it's fine. But to me, to be constantly interrupted and all that. So I shut it down and focused on a new product, Hero FM, because after they got the gratitude app, then they would go into a challenge. And that challenge started out as a live Facebook challenge. I'd go live in Facebook in a private group every day for 21 days. And just like any challenge, I'd start out with everybody showing up, and then people would dwindle off because, of course, they have other stuff going on in their life. So I pulled the audio and would put that on a private drive for them, a Google Drive or Dropbox, so they could download it. That worked well, but then there were a bunch of technical support requests. And then I got into podcasting. I created my first podcast. I'm like, oh, I can create a private podcast. So then I did that with my challenge. But every month I had to recreate this podcast because you could only set episodes to release on certain dates. And it was a lot of work, but so worth it, because people would say, I'm addicted to listening to you every day. I get up and I go for my walks and I listen to you. And so moving into that inner circle was so easy as well, selling those higher ticket products, because I was literally the voice in their head. But when COVID hit, I shut down that inner circle and created Hero. So then I didn't have to use a regular podcast platform. I have something that is designed specifically for course creators, and launched that just this autumn. And it's going amazingly well. And so now everything that I create is audio only. I don't even bother with videos.
Love that. So it's Hero FM, HIRO.FM. And you guys should check that out. And it's piracy proof, which I think is really important, especially once, things start working, which is of course the goal with anything that we launch, right? So
yeah, right.
That's so cool. You've added a tremendous amount of value. I've learned a ton. I know that the people watching and listening will have done as well. Carla, thank you so much for the time. If people want to find out more, learn more about you, where should they go?
Yeah, you can just go to carlawhite.org. That's Carla with a C. And if you want to hack my my value ladder, just go to thegratitudeapp.com, and that'll take you directly to the App Store.
Nice. Thegratitudeapp.com and Hero FM, HIRO.FM, and carlawhite.org. Nice. You guys, make sure you're following Carla. You're doing wonderful things, Carla. Thank you so much for the time, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.